Hey everyone, I'm Bradley and welcome to Zlangle.
Nobody wanted me to do it. My publisher, when I suggested the idea, he said, that's the worst thing I ever heard of. Then when I said I want him to have a lot of personal problems and nothing ever goes right from, he said, Stan, don't you know what a hero is?
Spider-Man Far From Home is the latest MCU film, and the first after the events of Avengers Endgame. And yes, it's pretty great. Right off the bat, there will probably be spoilers for the film in this video, so make sure you go out and see it as soon as possible. So, Spider-Man Far From Home is about Peter Parker going on a field trip to Europe, until a huge threat and Nick Fury become obstacles in his plans with his friends and the girl he likes. And that's what I wanted to focus on here. The fact that the filmmakers were able to pretty much perfectly balance the different tones that this movie portrayed. Continuing their intention from Spider-Man Homecoming, where they wanted to make it both a big blockbuster superhero movie and also a John Hughes type teenage coming-of-age film, Spider-Man Far From Home also tries to balance those two different genres. And I think Jon Watts and the rest of the creative team accomplished this even more than Homecoming did. Homecoming had plenty of scenes where it relied on the teenage comedy/drama genre.
You wanna go with me?
Yeah. Sure.
Really? I mean, great, cool. May, I need your help.
And also had tons of moments of fun and engaging action. And even a mix of the two at points.
Everybody good?
But I have to say, I never felt that it quite married the two as to where it was a complete and total melding, even strengthening each other and almost creating a new cohesive genre unto itself, as I did while watching Far From Home. I really liked Homecoming, even though I felt that the Spidey essence of it got a bit diluted from time to time. But this film solved almost every problem I had with MCU Spider-Man so far. Especially how they kept treating this Spider-Man as if he was an Iron Man wannabe. But within the story of this movie, they fixed that by him drawing inspiration from Tony, sure, that's just how Marvel decided to introduce this character into the MCU. But now he's really found his footing and summoned the strength and will to be his own unique superhero after all is said and done. However, they still don't show or mention Uncle Ben, Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane Watson, because it's been confirmed that Michelle is not an official adaptation of Mary Jane, or even Harry and Norman Osborn. But other than that, I feel that in Far From Home, they really made Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, and of course Mysterio, leap off the comic book page in an extraordinary way. It was probably the most like reading a classic Marvel comic story as a big-budget feature film that I've ever seen, including Avengers Endgame. And don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed Endgame overall more than this movie, but I'm just saying. But back to my main topic, Far From Home tripled the action and excitement, even though, well, not all of it was completely what it seemed. And the coming-of-age, high school, 80s kind of feel they had in spades. What with the awkward and not quite going as planned romance/wooing of MJ, of course along with the antics of Brad Davis, his teachers, Flash Thompson, etc. But the most difficult and applaudable aspect is the way that it all worked together seamlessly. The writers and director made the switching between quiet character moments and bombastic action sequences feel completely natural, and it was not only fun and intriguing, but moved the narrative along. It was used to enhance the story of Peter Parker fighting the elementals on his field trip. It never swayed away from that premise, despite, at least to me, having a large scope at times and not feeling that the plot was boxed into a corner at all. Even though this film goes from New York to Venice to Prague to London and all over the place, it never loses that sense of realism between the characters and the settings. At least as much realism as you can have while battling elemental monsters with a flying fishbowl head superhero. And just so you guys know, I'm going to make another video about Mysterio in this film, so I won't talk much about him here. But the Quentin Beck character was a source of both down-to-earth scenes and, of course, amazing spectacle.
Well, I think Spider-Man may be perhaps one of the most realistic of all the heroes, because when I originally planned him, I wanted him to have problems. The one thing that my publisher felt no hero should have. But I think the average reader can empathize with him and could say, gee, yeah, that happened to me. Sure, I know how he feels.
Spider-Man has always been told in these types of stories. Stan Lee, back when he created Spider-Man, tried to make Peter Parker as relatable and authentic as possible. Just an average teenager who happened to get a chance to help the world with the abilities he had. And Sony, to give credit where it's due, seems to truly understand the essence of the character whenever they adapt him to the screen, especially with the original Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2.
Hey! Stop the bus!
That's me.
Tell him to stop, please! Stop! Hey! Stop the bus!
Stop the bus!
Thank you. Sorry, I'm late.
Peter has always been down on his luck.
You're fired. Go.
Please, I need this job.
You're fired.
But give me another chance.
Parker, hello. You're fired.
Having trouble with girls.
We are guests of Columbia University Science Department, so behave accordingly. Let's not have a repeat of our trip to the planetarium. Come on, people, let's stay together. Proceed up the steps and into the building.
And things rarely go right for him.
You might wanna...
Can I help you?
Come to see the show.
No one will be seated after the doors are closed.
It helps maintain the illusion.
Well, you just let me in, I'll stand in the...
I never really thought that I was giving Peter too many problems. My problem was I couldn't think of enough problems for him. Because the more problems a hero has, more problems any main character in a story has, I think, the more interesting the story is.
And that's one of the big reasons he has been, and continues to be, so popular around the world for so many decades. It isn't just for the superhero content that we love Spider-Man and his stories, it's also the stories about his personal life, and just trying to get through life as best he can. Of course, his rogues gallery of villains doesn't exactly make it easy for him. But then again, I would say the Raimi Spider-Man films are by far much more grounded than Far From Home, and the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe in general. So, in my opinion, it's really saying something when you can have a big blockbuster film of this scope, with larger-than-life characters like Mysterio and Nick Fury, and a worldwide threat like the Elemental situation, and yet still care about if Peter will be able to give MJ the Black Dahlia, or seeing if Ned and Betty's relationship lasts, or how Peter is going to get screwed over by Brad Davis. And that, more than almost anything else, even though there is plenty else, is why I love this movie. Spider-Man Far From Home is not only a spectacular movie, but an amazing Spider-Man movie. Oh, sorry, that's not what I meant. I meant an amazing Spider-Man movie. Thanks for watching, everyone. Nuff said, and Excelsior.
What do you think about Spider-Man caught on?
I think there were a lot of reasons. I think perhaps the main reason was I can relate to him. Because he was shy, he wasn't that successful with girls, he had to worry about his family. I think most teenagers reading it thought to themselves, hey, that could be me, you know. But beyond that, I must say truthfully, I think Steve and I came up with some great stories and some great villains.